I was unfaithful to my husband and ultimately left him to marry the man I had an affair with. Surprisingly, karma came back around when my best friend married my ex-husband. David and I divorced in 2019 after he discovered my infidelity with a waiter named Caleb. Although it was a tough situation, David handled it gracefully and our divorce was peaceful. He moved to a new city for work and school while I stayed with Caleb, who became my new husband. Despite our past, David and I agreed to remain civil, exchanging occasional messages and gifts on special occasions. He successfully obtained his doctorate, but I never received any follow-up from him. I was surprised considering David's typically thoughtful nature. He was known for his courtesy, even towards casual acquaintances. Everyone in our social circle, including my own parents and his sister, mentioned receiving handwritten thank you notes from him. However, I never heard a word from him. Wanting to give him the benefit of the doubt, I assumed he needed space or was possibly still dealing with some emotional pain. In the meantime, I focused on starting a new chapter with Caleb, who had 3 children from a previous marriage, and preparing for the arrival of our own child. As life became hectic juggling family, work, and home responsibilities, my best friend from college, Rachel, who resided in the city David had moved to, was also occupied with her career as a brilliant lawyer and part-time university instructor. Despite our usual ability to pick up conversations seamlessly after long periods of not speaking, our communication became infrequent. I didn't pay much attention to it. The most recent message I received from her was back in late 2021. She mentioned being stressed with work, and my assumption was that she might have been seeing someone new. She had a tendency to vanish when starting a new relationship and reappear in my life once things cooled off. I convinced myself that we were just going through one of those phases. Last summer, Caleb and I visited the city where both David and Rachel resided. I attempted to reach out to Rachel a few times, hoping to meet up for lunch or coffee, but she never responded. I was disappointed but not shocked. I presumed she was either swamped with work or involved with someone new. I ended up catching up with other friends, trying not to take it personally. Then in October, I attended a Halloween party hosted by an old college friend. I went alone this time, looking forward to unwinding and possibly reuniting with Rachel. And there she was dressed as Cleopatra, enjoying a glass of wine near the bar. When I approached her, she seemed taken aback. She gave me a half-hearted hug, barely cracking a smile. "Hey," I said, attempting to strike up a conversation. "Hey there. So over the summer I tried giving you a call, but I found out you were off on your splendid honeymoon instead. How exciting." Apologies for not getting back to you sooner. I was swept up in all the romance. But guess what? I am now Mrs. Davis. Surprise, surprise. It all happened so quickly that I couldn't wait to share the news with you. I know, crazy, right? David and I had a whirlwind romance that began a couple of years post your divorce. I hope you're happy for us. Just imagine 3 hearts intertwined in this crazy thing called life. Let's catch up soon, my dear friend, and share more wonderful stories. Sending you love and sparkles. I found it difficult to view Caleb in the same light after that incident. I was distant and irritable with him, and I struggled to connect with the children. Spending hours lost in old photographs triggered memories I had suppressed. The sound of David's laughter, how he used to embrace me after a tough day, his quiet forgiveness, and the profound silence of his unspoken grievances. After weeks of dwelling on these recollections, Caleb finally confronted me. Our argument escalated quickly, with accusations of infidelity hurled my way. Unable to contain my emotions any longer, I opened up about David, Rachel, and the pain I had been carrying. In a surprising turn, Caleb revealed that he had been aware of the situation all along, thanks to social media. The revelation shattered my trust in him, and I berated him for not coming clean earlier. As our exchange grew heated, Caleb pointed out that my lingering emotions for David were apparent. Denying his claim, I snapped back defensively, insisting that my feelings were not a reflection of love, but of unresolved hurt. "Thank you so much." After an intense argument that lasted until sunrise, I headed to work without sleep, and then crashed at my parents' place. Seeking some space, I returned a few days later, only to find that nothing had changed. Another argument ensued where Caleb accused me of emotional cheating, and I couldn't deny that he might have been right. His words hit hard when he pointed out that my behavior reflected lingering feelings for someone else, making me feel as if I were mourning a loss. In a moment of heated exchange, I lashed out, calling him names and making hurtful remarks about his lack of understanding due to his own friendships. I instantly regretted my actions, but I couldn't contain the overflow of grief and resentment within me. That night, as I lay awake, I reflected on the choices I had made years ago. aiming for what I thought was happiness in a relationship. I had believed love was supposed to be thrilling and unpredictable, but with David, I had a stable, kind, and profound connection that I had carelessly discarded for someone who offered fleeting moments of validation, but failed to truly comprehend me like David did. Now, even my closest friends seemed to have filled the void I had left behind. The kind man who never forgot birthdays, showed love through flowers and handwritten notes, and read beside me in bed. He always kissed my forehead before heading off to work, the same man I vowed eternal love to. Rachel didn't return my calls as she had embraced the world I left behind. Despite my attempt to forge a new path, the foundation was flawed. Reflecting now, I can't help but ponder if this is the essence of karma, not a raging storm, but a deafening silence. The agonizing feeling of being forgotten by those we can't help but hold on to dearly. Seeking closure and understanding, all I was met with was the harsh reality that certain losses are irreparable. Certain doors, once closed, remain shut forever.